Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I've got a review for the new Deluxe class Optimus Prime from Cyberverse. Optimus is part of the first wave of Deluxes to be released in Cyberverse, despite the fact that the toy line's been around for, like 2 years now. And it's, Hasbro and Takara's way of marketing the Cyberverse line to an older consumer base. So these deluxes are meant to be on par with the deluxes that you find in, Generations and Studio Series. They have a lot more articulation than the regular Cyberverse toys. And like Hasbro's other property, Marvel Legends, they come with a Build-A-Figure piece. So when you collect across an entire, wave or two, you'll be able to build a new, generally larger character. In this case, the first wave is McAdam, who is the owner of McAdam's Oil House, and he's a character that's present in all sorts of different continuities and is all but confirmed to be one of the original 13 primes. In this case, Alchemist Prime. They never outright state it's true, but they hint at it frequently. So I'd say it's a pretty good bet. Now, I have very mixed feelings about this new direction they're taking by releasing these deluxe figures with more articulation and everything. On the one hand, it's a good thing that these are available now for people that like the show Cyberverse, like the aesthetic, or just completionists, but they want a toy that's more meant for a collector rather than a young child. They finally have something for that. The other side, I kind of find it infuriating because I started just kind of sucking it up and just buying the best choices I could get from the Cyberverse toy line. I was kind of being disappointed with how simple and unposable and ugly they were to look at. And I wouldn't have bought all those if I knew something like this was coming, which may or may not have been Hasbro's intention all along. Who knows? So kind of annoyed I wasted the money on the simpler toys just to have these finally come out. But I guess that's my fault for not being patient and waiting. But anyway, enough moping around. If you know my reviews, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at the toy's packaging, we'll get a look at his instructions, and then we'll see Optimus himself in both his vehicle and robot modes. And I'll do some comparisons with some other toys, primarily from Cyberverse. And at the end, I will give my final thoughts. So the packaging is done up in very much the styling of the other Cyberverse toys. But the fact that it comes in this enclosed box and everything at such a small scale is mimicking what they've been doing, with Generations and Studio Series, kind of trying to give a more premiere look to the toys. This also has the new logo that we haven't seen in the fiction yet, but it says Bumblebee Cyberverse Adventures. So it's like a subline of the line, I guess. Then some other toys released under this banner too. So I'm not sure if that's going to be, the future title of the show or what. We'll see. But you can see Optimus on full display here. Mine, his head's kind of collapsed down a little bit to fit in the packaging, though I'm sure it'll look better once I get him out. You got his little fire blast effect because they do utilize these just like the Siege and Earthrise toys do. So that's very cool. You got his ion blaster down here, and then you got a piece of McAdam, specifically his left arm or lower left arm. On the side, you have a render of the McAdam Build-A-Figure, so that's cool. Shows you what he looks like complete. And then on the back, you have your renders of Optimus in both his vehicle and robot modes. Shows it takes 13 steps to transform him. Shows off his little kind of gimmick. And that's attaching his Fire Blast effect to the Matrix molded into his chest to make a Matrix Mega Shot, which is actually something he used in the show recently. It also lists his function as a noble leader. And then down here, across the midway point, shows the other figures in the McAdam wave. So you got Optimus, Megatron, Shockwave, and Bumblebee, who are all available concurrently. And you got Hot Rod and Grimlock. Now, originally I thought RC and this new character, Thunderhowl, were all going to ship in the same wave as Hot Rod and Grimlock. But they have these little notes here. And basically for the first 6, it says they'll be released in early 2020. And for the latter 2, it says that they're going to be released in late 2020. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And then on the side, you just have a picture of the Autobots, which, a little bit fancier, a little nicer looking than the usual pictures they have on this packaging. So I kind of dig it. All right, now we're gonna crack this bad boy open, see if it's worth the $20. So here's the instruction book. It's done in this interesting contrasting purple and yellow. And you just open it up. And very simple instructions. Transform Optimus from his robot mode to his truck mode, which is continued on the back here. And you can see he has storage for his ion blaster, which actually helps fill out the back of his truck cab. And then you can take his little fire blast effect, stick it onto the back for like an exhaust. And there you can see he comes with the left hand and forearm of Mikado, which we'll take a look at right here. So very simple, just basically a big block, some molded wheel on here. So I guess he turns into some sort of a truck or land vehicle. Doesn't move, obviously. And then this hand is actually on a wrist swivel. It has very limited movement because of clearance issues, so it can't do a whole lot. And a lot of mold flash right there on the inside. That's something I've noticed with these Cyberverse Deluxes. They are riddled with mold flash. All right, here's Optimus's semi-truck mode. And let's see, it's fairly simple, but it does hit all of the required beats of a G1-based Optimus Prime toy. You got the smokestacks, you got the windshields, grill, all that. As usual, his legs make up the back end of the cab. And here you can see his fire blast effect being used as like a, some sort of exhaust or like rocket boost coming out of the back of him. He does roll fairly well, though I have to push down on him a little bit just because this part likes to kind of bend down a little and bow down. But if you push it, all the wheels make contact and it rolls very, very well. Overall, the look of the truck is fairly solid, I would say, except for this part right here, where you can just kind of see his biceps. That kind of kills the illusion. Now, the cool thing about it is that he can store his ion blaster here. Just kind of tucks into the back, almost becomes part of the truck. So overall, pretty impressive, especially when you consider the other takes on the character. And here are those other takes. Over here you have the Ultimate Class toy. Right here is the All-Spark Armor version. Obviously the non-ARC one. Then here is the Warrior. And you can see each one kind of has its own problems trying to emulate the character model. This truck mode here is just way off model with its proportions, just very odd looking. Doesn't really even have a bumper to speak of. So it's just kind of odd. The All-Spark Armor one is very, very simple. You got his big old feet sticking up there. Doesn't even have smokestacks. So not a great truck. And the Warrior probably comes the closest in terms of accuracy, though the smokestacks are red, they're not even painted, and he's also got the big feet sticking up in the back, so doesn't look great. Now, me personally, even though the truck mode here for the Ultimate fails at accuracy, I actually like it just for what it is. It's probably the most competent truck mode out of the 3 that I'm showing you here. It's weird looking, almost kind of like in a Transformers animated sort of way, but it holds together pretty well. It's not super gappy. They do the feet kind of backwards instead of sticking off the back end. They're up against the main passenger part, so it kind of helps the illusion. And overall, kind of fun. Plus, it's got the gimmick, little Matrix blast thing, whatever it's called. So, yeah, I think that our new Deluxe class really is the best of both worlds as far as character accuracy and then competency as a truck mode. But I still really enjoy this guy. Always had a soft spot for the Ultimate class. Right now for the transformation, let's go ahead and remove his fire blast effect. Open up his bumper pieces here. The gun, we're gonna go ahead and pull out of there too. Set it aside. And then we're gonna go ahead, work his arms free. And usual familiar motion of how to do that with G1 base primes. You're going to fold those bumper sections all the way back and then fold this in. So something reminiscent of Siege Prime's transformation. This part right here, going to fold all the way back, becomes kind of like a booster section. Flip Optimus' head out like that. I'm going to separate his legs. Bring his feet out. Alright, and then these panels here, headlights, you're going to fold them in, like so, and then spin him around at the waist. Alright, now let's get them all posed here. Get them looking nice. Oh yeah, swing that down too. Alright, now you got the robot mode set up. Go ahead, give him his ion blaster if you'd like to. His hands are on a ball joint, so they move around a bit. While you're trying to plug that in. There you go. It's a bit small, honestly. Seems like it should be bigger for him, but that's what they gave us. That's what we're working with. Alright, so there he is. And as far as posability, he's got a full waist swivel, ball jointed head, ball jointed shoulders, single bend elbow, bicep swivel. I already mentioned the ball jointed hands, ball joints for the hips, single bend knee, and then ankle tilt and some rocking. So a fair amount of posability. He can move around a bit. He does feel a little bit flimsy sometimes. He's kind of, I don't know, almost scrawny in a way, which is not something you should really say about Prime, but just kind of how it comes off feeling. But he is nice to look at. He does a fairly good job of nailing the aesthetic that they go for. And yeah, I don't know, maybe his shoulders are a little too high up. Maybe that's why I think he looks weird. Now, his fire blast effect. You can do a few things with it. First of all, it comes apart. This bulb piece does come off of the little like ray beam, so if you want to use it just like that, you can do that. You can just combine the thing if you want to. Dance if you want to. So he can be firing his blaster. Or the other option you have is you can open up his chest to reveal a painted matrix. And there's a little 5mm hole. Might be hard to see. Put some light in there if I can. But his matrix is actually painted a light blue on the inside. You see that? So, it does a good job of emulating the glow of the, what do they call them? Positronic crystals. Alright, so you can go ahead, stick that in there. Give him his whole Matrix blast attack from the TV show. So there is that option too. And, either way, it just gives you some play value for the toy. Makes him a lot of fun. All right, here's our toy alongside the other size classes again. You got your Ultimate, your All-Spark Armor, and your Warrior. And I think the robot mode is where the Ultimate class really shines. This is why I'm such a big fan of him. He's very, very solid. Yeah, he looks very cartoon accurate as far as proportions go. And overall just kind of nails it. He's got a lot of paint apps, all that. Legs look nice and beefy. His backpack is pretty minimal, so that's always nice. He does have hollow lower legs there, which is a shame, but not that noticeable. I think the only thing I don't really like about him is the fact that he's got the truck cable that wraps around his fists and just makes them pretty silly looking. Very impractical. Now, a toy as big as he is, they could have easily engineered a way around that, but they chose not to. Your All-Spark Armor is just a very, very simple toy. Cheats a lot of the transformation to the point where, like, the whole, or I guess half of the face of the truck cab is just hanging out on his back. I forgot to flip his little heel spur things down. He has those because of his armor. And overall, it's a simple toy. And then you have this abomination that I just hate. The Warrior class Optimus put a very bad taste in my mouth for Cyberverse to the point where I just stopped reviewing them for a long time. He's got the messed up arm that isn't really an arm. There's no hand there, just an axe. Ugly backside, weird long legs, and probably just the worst. Like, not counting the half transformed little scout figures, this is probably the worst version. So I would say, in terms of overall quality, the Deluxe is by far the best. If you ask me aesthetically, though, I still really, really like the Ultimate class. He's just so heroic looking, so cool to look at. But he's not very posable, doesn't come with any weapons or anything. So this guy kind of has it all. I think his shoulders are a little too haunched up, and he's a little scrawny looking for my taste, but he is the most competent Optimus Prime toy that we've received from Cyberverse so far. So do I think he's worth picking up? His stature doesn't make him very impressive. He's not going to have much of a presence on your shelf compared to something like this. So it really depends. If you want a toy that's much more posable, or you're looking to complete the Macadam Build-A-Figure, then definitely pick this guy up. He's totally worth your while. If you already have the Ultimate and you don't really, scale not gonna help you with him anyway. He's way too small. So if you don't care about the scale, you just want a beefy, impressive looking Optimus, you don't care about the Build-A-Figure, you can just keep this guy. If you only have these two or one of these two, yeah, these are garbage. Get rid of them, get this one. While he's not the massive improvement that, say, the Bumblebee Deluxe toy is, he's still the best Optimus you're going to get overall. Does the most, comes with the most. It's great that his Fire Blast is compatible with Siege and Earthrise figures. So, must buy with an asterisk? Yeah. Of course, that is just my take on him. You might feel differently. Maybe you think he's way better than I'm giving him credit for. Maybe you think he's terrible. I'd love to know what you think in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it or any of my other Transformers content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. And thank you for joining me for this look at the newest version of Optimus Prime in Cyberverse. And with all that said, I will see you next time.